So do you want to know a little bit more about what it's like to live an authentic life? Well, it's like this. It's like peace. It's like joy. It's like a certain grounded feeling where you just really are certain of who you are. And very often you know what your next step is going to be. You might not know what the steps are going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, but you're pretty sure about what the next step is. And if you're not sure, you know that your authentic self is going to guide you. It's going to tell you what that next step is. Maybe you need to do a little bit more research. Maybe you need to sit with it and let it gestate. Whatever the case, you are sure that you're going to know, even if you don't know now. So being authentic is the way to really plug into life. It's the way to really be aware of who you are, of how you're going to be, of how you interact, of what you like, what you don't like. You know, I talk to so many people who haven't a clue about that. For example, a wife might be married to an alcoholic husband who she spent so much time analyzing and trying to carry and understand and be there for him that she hasn't really noticed what she wants, what she likes, what her desires are. So when I talk to her, her awarenesses are what's going on with him. It's very hard for me to get someone who's doing that to be able to say, what's going on inside me? They can tell you every nasal hair on the other person's life, but they don't know what's going on inside them. And so many of us have lived whole lifetimes that way, bargaining our lives away based on a premise that we're supposed to be taking care of other people. As a matter of fact, we have a principle that we go by here in America that selflessness is a good thing. But I say that selflessness is a way of not having a self. As a matter of fact, it's very, very hard to even imagine living in a body, in a mind, in a personhood, in a life in which there is no self. So how can one be selfless and still be here? You can't. Everything that we do, everything that you do, be it a quote-unquote good thing or a quote-unquote bad thing or a thing that's healthy or a thing that's unhealthy or a thing that's functional or a thing that's ineffective or effective, it doesn't matter. Everything you do impacts you. Not only does it impact you, but it comes from some perhaps quarantined part of yourself. You see, we have little compartments inside of us where we have relegated the authentic self to go to its room, and it's sent off to the room. And then we have this other part of us that we live out of that's called a mask and a costume, and we play the role. And the role is scripted for us by decisions we made so long ago that we can't even remember them. And so we play out that role and play out that role, and when we're asked to describe who we are, what we're really describing is the role, the mask and costume. But we haven't a clue what's going on in the other room, where all kinds of feelings and reactions and inter-reactions are taking place that we don't pay attention to. And if they're called into awareness at all, what happens is that we kind of say, well, you know, I don't really want to know that about me, so I'm going to send it back to its room. Or if we call it into awareness, it might be something like, I resent the fact that I'm always having to be there for other people and nobody's ever there for me. And we would say, well, that's just being selfish, so I'm going to send that away. In fact, what that is a noodle, if you will, of the authentic self that's presenting itself so that we can begin to say, well, now, if I'm resenting that action that I'm doing because I'm trying so hard to do the right thing, then what's really going on? Is that an authentic action that I'm doing? That right thing that I'm doing, is it really right? Or is it just a game I'm playing in my head to convince myself that I'm a good person because I'm doing the right thing? But really, I resent it. I resent it very much. So you see, we can begin to process through what's really going on inside of us by sort of tuning in to what's going on in that other room. But until we do that, what we're going to imagine about ourselves is this other thing, the mask and the costume. And there's lots of those, and we can spend some time talking about those. There's the victim, there's the scapegoat black sheep and the scapegoat priest, there's the superwoman, there's the superhero, there's the bully, there's the I guess I've said them all now. Those are roles. Those are masks and costumes that we can wear, and we put them on so early that we don't even know we're doing it. So you see, that's how they begin. But we have a choice about whether or not they're going to continue. If we choose to let those things dominate our lives, then we will run into wall after wall after wall, and the wall will present us with another opportunity to become acquainted with our authenticity. Every crisis, every single crisis that has or will come into your life to date has been an opportunity for you to become more aware of the authentic self. Why? Because the crisis presents you with feelings, with awarenesses, with consciousness-raising experiences that make you question things, that make you look at things. People would call that, some people, philosophers would call that an existential crisis, in that it asks you, what is the meaning of my life? What am I doing here? What's really going on here? These are valid questions. But as soon as the crisis is resolved, well, we put those questions away and we send the authentic self back to its room again. The authentic self is trying to come out. Many times during a day, it is trying to come out and let itself be known. But we can quash it and quash it and quash it. We can spend a whole lifetime in a mask and costume and send that thing away for as long as we want. It's up to us. Or we can look at our current crisis and say, okay, I'm going to do it different this time. You know, a long time ago when I first started being a therapist, one of the things that one of my supervisors said to me was, if you can just do something different, even if it seems wrong, just something different than what you've always done, there's a shift that takes place. And Carl Jung would say that's an alchemical shift, where two chemicals merge and sort of change each other. So our crisis merges with us and sort of changes us, and we sort of change it. That's what's happening with life events. That's what's happening. So what we can do is use them. Instead of letting them use us, we can begin to take charge of our lives by saying, okay, this is my opportunity. Now let me start getting in touch with what's really going on inside of me. Get out a pencil and a piece of paper. Better yet, get out my book, Restoring My Soul, a workbook for finding and living the authentic self, and begin the work. Begin to develop an image, a working image, of your authentic self. Then do some work on the roles, the masks and costumes. And then let's talk about your fears, your bargains, the ways that you keep yourself stuck in the roles. Let's work through some of that. And then let's talk about relationship. And then let's talk about your spirituality. That's what you can do if you're willing to do the work. You can purchase the book at Amazon.com or any online centers anywhere on the internet. Also, you can check into my radio show, Authentic Living, on VoiceAmerica.com and learn whole gobs of information about authenticity from some of the world's most profound spiritual leaders. You can go to VoiceAmerica.com, put in a search for the Authentic Living Show, or just put in Authentic Living, and I'll be there waiting for you with all of my wonderful guests. Look at the archives and find out who I've interviewed. This Wednesday, we're going to be interviewing Dan Millman. Don't miss it. So that's what you can do to begin the process of finding out who you really are. Because I'm going to tell you something. The way to heal anything in your life is to become an authentic person in response to it. That's how it works. So I wish you the best, and I'll talk to you again soon. Remember, your job, should you choose to accept it, is to give birth to yourself.